Hello, 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 and welcome to Karloc does BiffaCraft. Right, today we're going to have a look at my Guardian farm. Now, let's go and get there. And here we have the portal into my Guardian farm, which cunningly says Karloc's Guardian farm. And through the portal, oh, we got a rubber band. No, not by the look of it. So here we are, and now the reigning of the Guardians starts to happen. I have to say, I just love that sound. So okay, this is basically obviously where they drop to die. Let's go up to the top, or up a bit higher at least. This is where the Guardian Temple used to be, which was all demolished and dug down into the seabed. There's still the pyramid for the, oh, I forgot what it's called, beacon that I had. And as you can see, some of them there, this is where they drop through the water and all get funneled down into this chute with lava. That one's going to die and lose his stuff. So yeah, that's what they look like falling through. Remember how to get up the middle. Okay, I remember now. Get back down to this level, and here is a ladder that goes right up the centre of the Guardian farm. Obviously, as we go up to this bit, we'll start influencing the amount of drops, because we'll be stopping various mobs spawn within range of us. If we fancy going for a swim with the Guardians, you can. So basically here is a huge chunk of water with a lid on it and a bunch of open fence gates. And I think, if I recall, there's about 3,500 fence gates there or so. And this water should, except for the top block, which is source, all be flowing downwards. So when you see them spawn, despite some manage to swim upwards, they basically just drift downwards with the flow of the water. So fall out of the farm moderately quickly. Obviously it would be quicker if I had less water, but then there's less spawning areas, so I'm sure there's a perfect amount somewhere of the depth versus spawning spaces, but I just built it this size because I did. And they just go everywhere. And from there they get, is it from here? Yeah, here's flowing water going through, which push them all down into this bit here. Also on the edge, which is underneath these iron blocks I'm now looking at, is a bunch of hoppers which will collect basically ink sacs, because the Guardians kill any squids that spawn in this water or drop out the water. The Guardians tend to murder them with their laser beams, and then their ink sacs drop into these hoppers and get collected. Equally, if someone's crazy enough to go swimming with the Guardians and gets killed, their gear should probably be picked up by those hoppers rather than dropping into the lava. So for this design, I decided to go this way. Big block of water, lots of flowing streams to bring them all into the middle, and then drop them through a bunch of lava, which I think, is it 3 or 4 levels? 1, 2, 3, I think that's 4. Which basically it almost kills them flowing through the lava. It does, we do lose a couple where they drown, they manage to swim up against the lava for too long and therefore die in there, and obviously their drops are lost. But I don't know, it seems to work out quite well, and my basic thought is with that lava and this fall they take, they literally instantly die. If I had them floundering around on the floor for longer, then I would have more of them around before more could spawn. So I've just gone for a compromise. Yeah, I lose a couple through the lava, but I get really good returns on this farm, so I'm quite happy. So from these hoppers we then go down into the dealing with the drops. I recently had to make quite a few changes here, so it's a little bit of a mess still, I haven't tidied it up. Basically because we run Spigot on this server to basically stop the server dying when there's too many people and other things, it can affect the mob spawns quite dramatically from farms like this. And since we went up to 1.9.2 and a couple of tweaks were made to the settings as well, the drops here have escalated quite dramatically. So very originally I had one stream of hoppers coming along here, feeding into my sorting system, which sorts the items out, takes them downstairs. Over to this side, this is where the ink sacks come out, they get sorted, and the occasional bit of fish and stuff we do get sorted in with the other line and then put into the normal chests. So then I had to add in a bunch of new stuff here. So basically the problem was a single line of hoppers from the drop area could not keep up in any shape or form. So I doubled it up, put it into a double chest, made 2 more lines coming out here, and that meant they could deal with the drops from this ring of hoppers that is where the guardians fall and actually die. So from here we basically just go straight into a sorter, so which we're on the 4th line here. So this basically deals with all the hoppers around to here. There's a similar one on the other side. So these outside 2 lines basically deal with probably 90% of the drops, because it's only these middle few hoppers that are picked up by these 2 lines there. There's a couple of hoppers here that I could turn around depending on if any one line seems to have more problems than another. So basically sorter here sorts out fish and throws them in the lava. So basically it's about 90% of all the fish from this farm now are literally dispensed into lava or dropped into lava as soon as possible, which reduces the load on the main hopper chain and main sorter quite dramatically. That wasn't enough for the farm to cope, so on this side I added a second sorter which sorts out shards, as you can see. So if I recall, it's basically about 2/5 of all the drops from this farm, or 2/5 of all the shards, assuming that they would drop evenly on the hoppers anyway, go straight into lava. So with that, so we're talking 90% of the fish, 2/5 or 40% of the shards, and it can now basically cope. So this chest is not backlogged, because obviously this is the main place where the backlog shows up. On this side as well, I've got a second sorter which pulls out the shards only and puts them directly into their sort of storage side, as it were, which would join up with the main sorter, just because the less load I can put on my main sorter, the more chance it is to cope. So some of the shards, so 2/5 of the shards from this side, will be pulled off and avoid the main sorter. So that's this little mess here, really. Then we go through here, and like I say, this is the main sorter for the farm, which shockingly deals with crystals, shards, and them raw fish. Thought I was going to fall down a hole then. Oh, yeah. This is my overflow chest. As you can see, I did have a prismarine crystal overflow problem at one point. Can't remember whether it was while I was testing or not, whether it's been since then. But if I want more shards, I can disable this sorter here and it will stop burning the shards straight away. And we'll probably see, I'm not sure I'll leave it too long, but we'll see how it goes. If I look in here, it's not quite backed up yet, but probably we'll get a backup quite quickly in this chest. That probably won't wait around for long at this moment. Nothing at the moment. Nah, it's coping. But if you leave it long enough, it will. I've found it tends to back up quite badly, so I'll put that on and we'll lava some shards. So, spinning around, we've got this little bit over here, which is just a bin for destroying stuff. This is the output from my furnace where my lava buckets come back to, and this is the furnace fuel input. Oh, wrong button. Basically, the fish go into their section, but they also get cooked, so we get cooked fish as well as raw fish. So that's pretty much everything on this level, I think. There's my jewel cave spider spawner down there, and need a bit more tidying up to do here after all the recent changes. Here's some train tracks, ways of getting in. This one goes to my base, this one goes off to Furry's base. And down at the bottom is the treasure room, the room where all the drops go. So over here we have the crystals, and then lights to say how many chests are full up. Over here, strangely enough, ink sacks, how many chests are full up of ink sac. Raw fish, yeah, they're full. Cooked fish, yep, they're full. And so any more fish just overflow to a destruction, which I think is a cactus on that line. And over here are some shards, which I have, well, a few, to say the least. So yeah, very simple collection room. You can see what you've got. Looking around the back, not so simple. Right, this bunch of chests here is what I added on for, oh, none in there, for shards. So these ones don't light up. Once it's full, it will overflow into that array of chests. And eventually, when I build it, it will overflow into some lava or cactus at the end here to destroy the shards. At the moment, it would potentially just back up through the whole system. So there is my chest of shards. Now Around here is the chest full of prismarine crystals. There they are. Which way? Oh, it's going this way. It's going this way round to the bottom chest over here, so these hoppers will be full. The lights light up off a comparator off the chest, so they light up with just one item in the chest, which is sort of misleading when you've only got one item in the bottom chest. But as soon as you get into the second chest, it means all these hoppers are full up as well, which almost equates to a full double chest, so sort of pretty accurate representation at that point. Ink sacks, all very similar. This will be raw fish, cooked fish. There's the furnace up there with the feeds coming in for the fuel. Up there is the cactus for destroying fish when there's too much. There's a bunch of lines running off places. These are for basically highlighting stuff. So the way it works is these little lights here flash every time something goes through the top item sorter for this item. So you can see that we're getting these drop, and these drop. Obviously ink sacks are very random because it depends on squid spawning, so these vary quite a lot as to whether you actually see it light up or not. But obviously these two are constantly going, and even the fish, considering we're destroying 90% of the fish at the beginning, then the last 10% gets destroyed here. So yes, that's pretty simple. Oh, I'm lost. Oh, there it is. I do get lost in my own places sometimes. And down here is just a storeroom of some of my stuff. Some stone, some sea lanterns, blah blah blah. I haven't put the signs on this side yet, but I've got the blocks to represent what we have. So we have stuff. We have sea lanterns. This is our emergency supply depot, really. So I think that's sort of covered it all, really. Let's just go and listen to them falling guardians. Have to love that screaming. Right, let's have a very quick look at the top of the Guardian farm. I've recently started building on top of the Guardian farm, but it's only a basic tower. So up here, just a bunch of bricks, got lights to light up below, and then solid block on top of it, because I'm not sure. I suspect the sea lantern doesn't count as a solid block and therefore wouldn't be a covering in order to increase the rates of the farm. So I've got a solid block higher up. I've put it on glass so it lights up out here as well. Now this is just the start of a big tower, and the idea of this tower was basically just for launching off with elytras, so you can fly long distance because you start off high up. So early going on the building process here. Hello Guardian, I saw you. Oh, I just have to love them Guardians. Oh look, there's some ink sacks coming along nicely from some squid that the Guardians have killed for us, and they should pop into the hoppers and not get destroyed in the lava, which is always nice. You may be able to see over there, there's packed ice in the corners where their levels drop down to get the flowing water. I added them because I was having an issue where some of the ink sacs were getting stuck in the corner and not flowing, and then because entities are grouped up, then the next one would come along and sort of jump to where the stuck one was rather than freeing it, so I was losing quite a few potential ink sacs. I love that view, there is a lot there. So I think that about wraps it up from here at my Guardian farm. So if we go into that mode, that's the one, then I can give a bit of a wave. We see Guardians falling behind me head. Oh, fun. So that's it for the Guardian farm tour. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like or subscribe if you like it, and please leave a comment. Thank you very much. It's bye from me.